In this video, we're going to show you how to paint silver and steel like swords. This video is part of our painting tutorial series for our Knights at the Game Table Painting Challenge. If you want to learn how you can join the challenge, get some miniatures painted, and even win a free membership for the Knights at the Game Table for an entire month, then click the link in the description of this video and sign up. Now, let's get to painting that sword.
Okay, now we're going to move on to the next piece of metal on this model, and that's going to be the silver, the steel, and the sword. So we're going to start by applying actually something you may not expect, which is warp lock bronze. It's actually one of our favorite tricks here, is applying a bronze to silver, and you'll see why it's going to really start to jive by the end of this lesson. So you'll see as we go through it. First thing we're going to do is apply it to our belt buckle here. We're going to knock out those little finer detail, hard to reach places. Make sure our brush has a nice fine tip. Make sure we're holding the model with all 5 fingers while using the other to steady it. Just be really careful and really meticulous with these more difficult, more finer detailed places that are hard to reach. So that's the first step, is going back and forth bit by bit, making sure you have a nice tip, ensuring your tip is there, getting those little finer details, or using the warp lock bronze or something that's more of a bronze color as your first layer for steel and silver. So next we're going to hit up this sword, and this is one of my favorite parts for this lesson, especially to share with you here. We're just going to cover the whole sword in a nice light coat of warp lock bronze. So we're going to go through that, just color it nice and easy. Nothing too crazy here. We're literally just applying a solid layer, nothing too thick, nothing too, intense. You don't want a lot of paint on your brush, but you want enough to cover that whole section. So that's what we're going to do here, and it's going to really, really look cool by the end of this lesson. So I'm excited for you to see this part. From here, we're just, going from the edge to the tip of the sword and getting that first layer of bronze on there. Get the edges, the sides, and yeah, it's nice and easy. This part is it's really cool. Maybe add a second layer on there. Just make sure you're not letting any white poke through. Again, like we said in the earlier videos of this, the main goal is coloring and keeping the white out, right? So you want to make sure you are eliminating any white spots. So if you need to go over a little bit extra, then that's okay. Now the next layer we're going to do is the lead belcher, which is a pretty standard steel color. It's from Citadel. Again, we're covering Citadel paints here. None of these are contrast paints. These are all metallic paints, so they're thicker than contrast. And for this next layer, we're going to do some dry brushing. So you'll get your nice fuzzy dry brush out, get a paper towel, get a little bit of that paint on your dry brush and rub it into the paper towel so it's on your brush, but it's nice and dry to where, you can just literally flicker it on, and you're only going to do down strokes because we're still playing with light. We're still applying this zenithal priming type method where we're casting shadows and lights onto the model. So for this, we're going to add our second layer to the sword, and it's going to come through the dry brush in downward strokes. And for the top half of the sword, we're going to go about 3/4 of the way down, almost all the way down. And for the bottom half, we're going to go like halfway. So you're going to see why as we move into the next layer for this sword, but it adds a really cool effect. So again, we're just going to do the other side, get it from the top down, downstrokes only, so we're not killing our shadows that are on the bottom. You only want the paint hitting it from the top, so that way it keeps that light up at the top and the shadows at the bottom. Again, we're going to go halfway down and about 1/3 of the way down on the back side of the sword. Now we're going to apply the third layer, which is Runefang steel. So this is more of a brighter type of silver metal that's going to make the sword really pop, and you're going to love this piece. Again, we're using our dry brush. We clean our dry brush out. We're applying it on, and this time we're going to do the same method where we're doing downstrokes only, but we're only going to go down about halfway on the top of the sword, and then maybe like 1/4 on the bottom. So you have this layer of bronze to lead belcher to rune fang steel, and it's gonna add a really nice shine and a really cool layer effect to where light's, you know, casting down on the sword, and it almost gives it like a glimmer. And of course, the next step to this is going to be touching up those other areas on the model that we got, like the belt buckle and the little metal pieces, you know, in his little toolkit hanging from his belt there. So we're just going to get our nice fine tip brush and apply the same layers to these other spots, but we're not dry brushing because it's kind of a smaller area, and we want to, you know, get that same effect on there. With that said, we're going to go back to the sword and touch up those edges. And this is kind of a cool version of edge highlighting. You'll notice we're taking the brightest of the silver colors, and we're going from the top all the way to the bottom in terms of covering the edge of the sword. So it's going to add even more of a, you know, light casting color contrast to this sword, to this metal piece, that makes it really stand out and look cool. So that's one of my favorite things about this technique, is it makes the sword look so real and so cool. And something you can do if you want to take this to a power sword level is get like a blue shade, get even like the Telestar blue, a blue contrast paint, and you can go over that sword and start to give it like that blue power sword type glow. So if you really wanted to, you know, give it that look, then that's what you could do. We're gonna keep this as a silver looking sword for now, because it just looks really good. He's got the red armor. It looks amazing the way we've done it so far. So now for the next lesson, we're gonna show you how to touch up some of the spots we missed. The seals on the shield. We're gonna go over repairing that shoulder pad and show you how to touch up the shoulder pads, give it a nice white prime so it's ready for decals, and how to get those paint spots off. So as you can see so far, the sword looks really cool, that nice like realistic steel look, and yeah, I'll see you on the next episode.
And that concludes this video on how to paint silver and steel like the big sword you saw in this video. The next thing we're going to cover is how to do touch-ups and repairs, because let's face it, every once in a while our hand's going to slip and we're going to put some paint where we don't want it. So make sure to follow along with this series so you can learn what to do when that happens. And if you haven't already, I want to invite you to join us in our Nights at the Game Table Painting Challenge. It's totally free to sign up. All you have to do is click the link in the description of this video, and we will get you set up with our full tutorial series so you can dive right into this painting challenge. If you show us that you painted a model from start to finish using the methods that we're sharing throughout these painting tutorials, then we will give you free access to our Nights at the Game Table membership for an entire month. So go ahead, if you haven't signed on already, join us in this painting challenge. If you're already in the challenge, I will see you in the next video.